Williamson is the greenest guy I know, and that's a good thing. Today, Shawn joins Morgan and I at the round table to discuss key energy issues like greenhouse gas, climate change, and of course, right now the big one, offshore drilling. Shawn, thank you so much for coming back again. And the greenest guy, I really think, is a good thing because, you know, you live in my neighborhood, and you're someone I look up to for the stuff that you're doing, not just for us, but for our kids and stuff. And it's, you know, it's an easy thing to say, but it's a harder thing to do. And I'm trying to use your example to lead a bit better of a life. So thank you for that, first of all.
We do what we can. You know, I'm not in it. It's not a competition.
No,
you know,
I know
I guess what's the old thing? You know, life is a journey, and nobody gets out of it alive, kind of thing.
That's true. That's true.
Just do the best you can while you're here.
Absolutely. So, you know, there's so much in the news right now, and
Where do
it's
you start?
You know, where do you start? And I guess the thing we have to start off with is this offshore drilling fiasco that's going on right now. Fiasco. That was my comment. But I heard recently, we were talking about it before we went to air, that President Obama's actually let another company drill in the not as deep section of the Gulf of Mexico. Is that correct too?
In Mexico?
In Gulf of Mexico.
Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you could look at this specific issue, and that, unfortunately, that's the thing. You know, you have a crisis, and people divert their attention to it, and they're very focused on that for a while, and then, you know, it just fades off. The solutions to this problem, and you know, let's face it, offshore drilling, it's an energy problem, and it's the same problem. You know, whether it's oil, electricity, natural gas, solar, you name it, it's all about energy. You know, basically, modern society requires energy to get by. And unfortunately, we're not very good at taking the at using the energy that we have. And so some people's solution to say, well, if we're not very good, you know, we need more energy, let's go out and find more energy. You know, my approach to my clients, to, you know, the people that I work with in my home, is do the very best, use the most energy with, or do the best with what the energy you have. So it's an issue of conservation. So rather than everybody focus on, oh, this is a terrible thing, don't get me wrong, it is a terrible thing. People should be saying, you know, hey, we've got to find other ways to get our energy. Well, find other ways to conserve the energy that we now have.
For sure.
What people don't realize is that, you know, we're dipping into the fund. You know, so imagine we're basically a very energy-rich planet. But we should think of the analogy of having very rich parents, and you've got a trust fund. Yeah, we have a trust fund, and it's located way deep down below
way to look at it.
The earth, and that's from, you know, plants and dinosaurs that died millions of years ago. So we are using solar energy. Let's face facts. You know, oil is solar energy, but the sun hit the earth millions of years ago, stored it in that, and now we're digging it up and using it now. And we're digging it up at rates that we just can't keep up. So it gets into the issue of sustainable energy or renewable energies. You know, the oil, the dinosaurs aren't dying anymore. They're all dead. So once we use up the oil that is there, what else? What are we going to do next? And the big challenge, particularly with offshore drilling, it's almost, you know, a good analogy there. It's like we're addicts. You know, we've lost places to put the heroin into our veins, and now
keep poking some more, find more, find more.
You know, and you heard the expression "drill, baby, drill." The first I heard that, you know, number one, as a conservationist, it appalls me. But number two, it's absurd.
Can I tell you something that just quickly that appalls me about the whole thing is that you mentioned at the beginning too. You know, you turn on CNN and there in the corner they have live from Gulf of Mexico ocean floor this diamond saw that's not working, and it's always going on. I'm thinking, we're not looking at the resource, we're looking at the resource of watching it all the time. We're just this.
So what are other ways that you can conserve it then? If, like, conserve, you're saying the energy that we're using, right? Instead of just keep going at it?
You know, there's a million different ways, and you know, certainly when it comes to oil, that's in your cars and industry and everything like that. But actually, some of the things that are more, you know, let's pretend the Gulf doesn't exist right now. Some of the more topical things this time of year, and particularly in Durham region, I think are such things as electricity and as well as water. And I think one key thing, and you know, you mentioned it before while we're at the break, is just the use of water. People don't realize how much electricity is used to actually get the water to us. So at a municipal level, basically on a worldwide level, about 2 to 3% of all energy is used to pump water and to treat water. And that usually, every time you fill up that cup, you're using energy twice. It's to get the water to you, and inevitably, just water, you don't drink it, you just rent it. You're going to have to take that away. Yeah. So every time you're wasting water, you're wasting twofold. So, particularly, you talked about up in Brooklyn, the people, their proclivity to, water their lawns and usually also water the street at the same time.
Yeah.
There's a really simple thing.
That's true.
Number one, you really don't need to water your lawn this year. We've had a very warm spring and people start to see their grass going brown. Well, one quick fix is not to cut it so short. Grass is designed, and this gets into the issue of simple solutions.
Right.
Sure.
Grass is designed to water itself. Okay, right. So you get the dew in the morning on a blade of grass. That water drips down. It it waters the roots. You shouldn't have to water the grass. Sure. But if you cut it like a putting green of Augusta, it isn't as long. It isn't as able to absorb as much sunlight. It isn't able to get as much condensation on it. It goes brown, and then you have to water it.
Absolutely.
So, my lawnmower, it has a little setting at the side, and it takes approximately 2 seconds to set it up to about 3 inches.
That's right.
Your grass still looks as nice. It's still as flat, and unless somebody's walking around with a ruler, your lawn looks perfectly nice.
Yeah.
Right.
But it'll cut back on the amount of water you use. It'll cut back on the amount of energy you use. If you're cutting your grass every 3 days, it'll cut back on your pesticide use because that grass is now going to choke out all your weeds, and it's actually a nicer lawn. One of the nicest things I like to do is just sit out in the shade in the back grass. It's nice and comfy.
Yeah.
Simple solution.
It's funny too, because I remember many years ago when I was down in Aruba, and it's a desert island climate, and the amazing thing was the first time that I really noticed how much they utilized all the barrels that hold the water from their storms, because they have very big rainstorms, not a lot of the time, and the reuse of the water for their own resources and stuff. And it was just simple thought.
We built a rain barrel catchment system at our house. 4 wine barrels that I got in North Oshawa. Probably cost me about $150 for the entire thing. So last night's rainstorm, I got 220 gallons of water. It filled the system in probably about 15 minutes.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Unfortunately, I've got it so that it overflows into the system. I can't take it all, but I didn't get 220, I actually got 440, because that's 220 gallons of water that doesn't have to be pumped up to my house and 220 gallons of water that doesn't have to be pumped away from my house.
Unbelievable.
So it's not only the water that we're saving, but it's also the energy that was saving that water.
I think that's something that a lot of people don't think of. You think of, you don't want to waste the water. That's my biggest thing, turn it when you're brushing your teeth, but I don't even think of the energy that's used.
Yeah. Well, at a municipal level, one of the largest draws of energy for City of Oshawa, Town of Whitby, any of those, is the amount of energy that's required to pump the water to and fro.
Shawn, we need more time. Always, whenever you're here, there's always so much great information and stuff. So definitely, we'll have to have you back very soon, because there's so much that we always learn when you're here. Pitchinbrooklyn.org and sustain-ability.ca. Shawn's got some great info on that website, and check it out. And you've got to see him speak sometime too. It's amazing. So thanks again, Shawn. Really, really great.
Okay.
Coming up after the